Now, the Charlton Tribunal set up to investigate an alleged smear campaign against the Garda whistleblower Sergeant Mark Cagney gets underway at Dublin Castle today. Joining us for that story and others making the news this morning are the Director of the Irish Academy of Public Relations, Ellen Gunning, and Michael O'Regan from the Irish Times. Good morning to you both. Ellen, if you don't mind, I'm going to start with Michael because I want... today is primarily procedural, Michael, but essentially Justice Charlton will lay out what the rules of this tribunal are going to be and how he sees it proceeding.
That's right, and he'll do it actually for the first time in front of cameras, which will be interesting. He will lay out the stall, I suppose, of the tribunal, so to speak. Then, by the way, he's moved very quickly to do that. Generally, precedent was that this wouldn't happen for quite some weeks yet, but he's obviously intent on moving fairly fast. He'd then go away, and the tribunal has to gather material, and then, of course, he'll have to sit again, and he'll take representations, people looking for legal representation and all that. How long that takes, it's hard to know. He's clearly a man intent on moving this on. So today we'll hear the layout, as it were, of the tribunal, then he goes away and gathers material.
He's got to give an interim report. He has promised to give an interim report within 3 months and a final report within 9 months.
Yes.
Now, given our history with tribunals, that would seem like an almost impossible ask.
It would, but it's the thing about this. I don't know the man at all. I think I met him once as a young barrister, but he cross-party in Leinster House. Everyone is praising him. He has an exceptional reputation, and the fact that he's called this preliminary hearing, so to speak, so quickly means his intent on meeting these deadlines. Now, of course, he faces formidable challenges. The most formidable being, do not repeat in terms of time and cost, the tribunals of the past. At the height of one tribunal, a Fianna Fáil TD, a Fianna Fáil minister called it a barrister fattening exercise. Now, he didn't mean body weight, Mark, he meant wallet. The public coming out slowly of a harsh economic recession will want to see legal fees kept to an absolute minimum, and cost generally.
Okay, Ellen, I left you to second on this because this tribunal has got to get to the truth of this matter. It's got to get to the bottom of why it's being, the reason for which it was set up. But it's also got to do other things as well. It has got to be seen to be doing a lot of things. So in your opinion, from a PR point of view, taking as read that Justice Charlton will get to the bottom of things. Right. What does it need to be seen to do? Not just for the people involved, but also for us, the people who are paying for it.
Well, I think there are 3 really interesting things about this tribunal. One is the fact that I think this is going to be the Irish O.J. Simpson. I think this is our water cooler. Everybody in the country has an opinion on this tribunal. Everybody thinks they know what happened. So I think we'll all be watching with tremendous interest. It will be debated every single day of the week. It will be huge. So in some ways, Justice Charlton really has his hands full. The second element is the fact that I agree with Michael, but from a different perspective. Funny enough, I was actually thinking that what he needs to do is he needs to stop the lawyers asking this morning, what do you mean by this morning? What time this morning? Is that really this morning? The kind of stuff that they've gone on with before. And whittle them down to just ask the questions and keep it much sharper. But from the participant's point of view, everybody who goes before that tribunal, I think, needs to be very clear and very concise. The general rule, if you're trying to communicate anything, leaving aside the fact that it's a tribunal, is that you try to communicate in a very clear way and you try to be as concise as possible, and the object of the exercise is that you are understood. If you look at something like the correspondence that came out over the weekend with Mark Cagney and the previous tribunal, it was lawyers obfuscating and preventing him, whether by design or by happen chance, from actually saying something quite clearly. I think we'll have very little toleration for anybody who isn't clear about what happened and what their memory is. So I think they'll need to prepare very well for the tribunal, because I think Justice Charlton isn't going to take any hostages. If he's a man on a mission and he's going to finish in 9 months' time, he needs to move people very quickly. I think people need to go in with a sharp, clear idea of what it is they want to communicate, because we won't have much toleration for it.
Michael, Ellen makes a very good point that an awful lot of us in the public have already made up our mind. We believe that Sergeant McCabe was smeared.
Yeah.
We believe that senior Gardaí were responsible for that it was an orchestrated campaign. And some people believe that it went right to the very top. Now, given the level of power and the people that we're being dealt with here, how is Justice Charlton going to get to the heart of that matter? I mean, is it possible that when you're dealing with this level of power and these people, that it can actually be laid bare in public?
Well, I think it can.
It's never been done before.
No, it hasn't. This is why, actually, Ellen is right. This could be our O.J. Simpson sort of public hearing, as it were. But he's, here we have a former Garda Commissioner, serving Garda Commissioner, Superintendent David Taylor, head of the press office, very senior person. The public have made up their mind, there's no doubt about that. But when he sits at the tribunal today, which he's well capable of doing, he has to detach himself from the public consensus. Everyone who goes into this tribunal, deserves a fair hearing. Now, he will be able to do that. So, while the public mood will be focused on their own judgment of what happened, he's going to detach himself wholly and clinically from that. I suspect if this over cross-examination and time wasting goes on, I think he will intervene pretty sharply.
Okay, very quickly, Alan. Front page of the Times this morning, and the mocks have just been finished, so we're getting to the business end of the exam year, and we see ASTI a strike threat if schools let teachers go. Teachers look like they could be the very first public sector workers to be made redundant because they are not protected by the Lansdowne Road Agreement. Now, if they're not protected by the agreement, if they're not part of the agreement, how can they claim to be protected by it? Government said if you're part of Lansdowne Road, you won't be made redundant.
I'm sorry, wake up and smell the coffee. They had a choice. They chose either to go in with the Lansdowne Agreement or not to. They're perfectly entitled to. They decided not to. That has consequences that go with it as well. One of the things that drives me insane about this country is the fact that people seem to feel that they can keep negotiating no matter what happens. You can negotiate your way back into or back out of everything. It's like going before the Labour Relations Tribunal. They never seem to actually say that company was right, they have no money, or that company was wrong, they should pay you. Everything is about constantly finding a way in the middle. And from the government's point of view, I think it's going to be quite fascinating because it has huge implications for unions. The unions have taken a stand. They have decided they're outside of the agreement. It's really down to the government now to see how much bottle they have to say, you're outside of the agreement, this is how it runs. I think they'll find a middle way. I don't think they'll actually take it.
Also, of course, as a trade union, teacher trade union, they're isolated from the others. And the government is going to play hardball in this. Now, I don't think it'll come to actually sacking people, but the government is not for turning. The government also feel, if you talk to government politicians, they feel they have a huge swathe of the public behind them, and indeed a considerable number of secondary teachers.
Okay, we'll have to leave it at that. Thank you both very much indeed. Let us know your thoughts on any of these topics. You can text follow Bear Comments to 53121, email ireland@tv3.ie, Facebook or tweet us at ireland@tv3. Now, plenty more to come. We'll be back. We'll be back, and hopefully I'll actually be able to speak then. But you never know, I might see in a few months.